This is Jawbone Death by Adam Lawson. The art is by Jason Krager. This was a really interesting indie story. It's about this biker named Mitch, and he is in a biker gang. And he's kind of reached this really low part in his life. And he starts hearing this voice in his head. And he decides that, he's rock bottom. He has nowhere else to go but up. Right when his boss tells Mitch to beat up a snitch, an informant, Mitch decides that this is the time that he is going to go ahead and make the change in his life. So rather than just continuing to beat the guy up or kill the snitch, he decides to go after his boss and the rest of the gang. And this, of course, doesn't sit well with the gang, and they decide to get revenge on him. So he tries to escape, and in the process ends up going off of a cliff and getting badly injured. As he's laying there, he keeps hearing that voice, and then he is met by this being that offers him a chance. The being wants Mitch to be his worldly avatar, so to speak. So he will imbue Mitch with these powers, but Mitch has to kind of do his bidding, serve his will. And the being grants him this cool looking helmet and a sword that's made from the jawbone of a leviathan. So like many moons ago, this guy slayed a leviathan, and that's what he took as his trophy. It became a sword. So now Mitch is going to wield this, and he gets imbued with the being's power. The being that Mitch is tasked with stopping is called the Myth Slayer. This evil had been trapped inside a prison on Earth called the Killing Tree. It's an actual tree. And through a series of events, the tree was destroyed. And so this evil entity is now free. And if nothing is done, the evil will overtake the world and destroy everything. At first, Mitch is a bit reluctant because he tells the old warrior that he's screwed up everything he's ever tried to do in the past. So, why is he being presented with this task? He's most certainly going to screw it up. But the warrior ends up encouraging him and telling him, that you are the one that's here. You are the one that's being chosen. And Mitch sort of makes a deal. He says, if I don't really care about myself, but could you please help my dying wife? And so the creature says, he will do what he can. So Mitch takes up the helmet and the jawbone sword, and he takes on the mantle of Jawbone Death. And so Mitch sets out on his mission to stop this evil entity, the Myth Slayer. This was a really fun story. It was apparent that a lot of love went into this book. I was really impressed with the cover. The campaign had a few different options. This one, I just really thought was gorgeous how it came out. It just has this kind of shimmer effect to it. And it really reminds me of something from the 80s or 90s. It just kind of has that, really vibrant, over-the-top look. The character design itself of Mitch, and then when he takes on the mantle of Jawbone Death, it just has this really kind of heavy metal, over-the-top, really badass kind of vibe to it. The art in Jawbone Death by Jason Krager is in black and white, which I think really worked with this story. It has just this really raw, retro feel to it. Again, kind of evoking the feelings of the 80s, 90s stories. As I've mentioned several times before, I've really become a fan of black and white. I think it lends itself very nicely to certain stories, especially ones like this, where it's just supposed to be like a really raw, rough story and has lots of violence and everything in it. Jason Krager's style has that kind of over-the-top look to it with exaggerated muscles and speed lines kind of depicting the action and everything. And I just really enjoyed it. I thought it, again, fit really well with the story. And this does end on a bit of a cliffhanger. I think from the beginning of the campaign to the time that I received it, it seemed to be pretty quick. So I'm hoping that it will be the same for issue 2. The character of Mitch is interesting. The idea of a guy that's just kind of become so disgusted with where his life has gone and where his choices have led him that, he's hit that rock bottom and he's ready to make a change. And so there kind of begins this redemption arc for him. He doesn't really see himself in a good light because, again, he's made all these bad choices. And I kind of liked initially how he was questioning the warrior. Why would you choose me? I think in a way that's probably a hallmark of a great story and a great character is someone that seems unworthy initially, but he's tasked with a mission that is greater than himself, that he has to try to become a better person in order to prevent the destruction of everything, of the world. So, again, I think the character has a lot of potential. I'm looking forward to seeing where Adam Lawson takes Mitch on this journey. Overall, this was an enjoyable story, even though it was, it went by rather quick. It was short. This is more along the lines of your, typical kind of comic floppy that most people would be used to. I'm definitely looking forward to issue 2. And as I mentioned, I think the character has a lot of potential, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where it goes. And just really enjoy the whole kind of retro feel to it, and the kind of heavy metal feel to it. I really enjoyed this one. Definitely a recommend. So those are my 2 cents on Jawbone Death. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, take care.